Welcome to Relaxed Reddit Readings. Today we have 4 Reddit stories for you. Reddit stories that will make your drama look peaceful. Story 1. My friend vanishes with random guys every time we go out. So my best clubbing buddy just basically abandoned me in a packed nightclub for the 3rd time this month, and I'm starting to lose it. Let me explain what's been happening. I've got this friend who's literally the only person in my circle who actually wants to go out and have fun, which should be great, right? Wrong. Every single time we hit the clubs, she disappears with some random guy she just met. And I'm not talking about later in the night after we've had our fun together. I'm talking about within minutes of walking through the door. She'll spot some guy, start talking to him, and poof, she's gone for hours. Sometimes I'll catch a glimpse of her later, but she's usually with a completely different dude by then. The worst part? She never tells me she's leaving. One minute we're dancing together, the next I'm frantically searching the entire club wondering if something happened to her. When I try to text or call, nothing. Radio silence. So last weekend, after spending 2 hours looking for her while she was off doing God knows what, I finally had enough. When she casually strolled back over like nothing happened, I told her straight up that I'm done going out with her unless she stops pulling this disappearing act. I explained that it's not safe for either of us, it's incredibly rude, and honestly it makes me feel like I'm just her backup plan in case she doesn't find someone to hook up with. Her response? She got super defensive and said I was being controlling and that she should be free to talk to whoever she wants. She completely missed the point. I'm not trying to cock-block her or control who she talks to. I just want basic courtesy and safety. If you want to leave with someone, just give me a heads up so I'm not worried sick thinking you've been kidnapped or worse. Is that really too much to ask from a friend? She's been giving me the cold shoulder ever since, and now our mutual friends are saying I'm being unreasonable. They think I should just accept that this is how she is and deal with it. But here's the thing. I genuinely care about her safety, and I also don't want to spend my nights out playing detective instead of actually having fun. Am I being too demanding here, or is wanting basic communication and consideration from a friend a reasonable request? If you're enjoying these stories, hit that like button and let me know in the comments which story you relate to the most. Story 2. Mom wants me to skip Dad's funeral for my stepsister's concert. My mom just told me I need to skip my father's funeral for my stepsister's school concert, and I honestly can't believe what I'm hearing. Here's what's going on. I'm 17, and I just lost my dad after he fought a really long battle with illness. My dad and I weren't super close when I was younger, but over the past 2 years we really started building this amazing relationship. It meant everything to me. Now he's gone, and his funeral is being held by my grandma up in Canada where he spent his final months. We live about 2 hours away from the border, so it's totally doable to get there. But here's where it gets absolutely insane. The same day as my father's funeral, my 15-year-old stepsister Rosie has some school concert. And my mom is acting like these 2 events are somehow equally important. When my mom got the call about the funeral arrangements, she immediately started going on about how the timing is terrible because of Rosie's concert. She said that as a family, we all need to be there to support Rosie, and that my dad's funeral can wait or I can go alone. Can you believe that? She literally said my father's funeral can wait. Then she dropped this bomb on me. She said if I choose to go to the funeral instead of the concert, I'm being selfish and showing that I don't care about my stepsister or our family unit. She kept going on about how Rosie has been practicing for months and how devastated she'll be if we're not all there cheering her on. Look, I love my stepsister, I really do. But we're talking about a school concert versus my father's funeral. This isn't some once-in-a-lifetime performance at Carnegie Hall, it's a regular school event that they probably record anyway. My dad's funeral is literally the last chance I'll ever have to say goodbye to him and be there with his side of the family who I rarely get to see. When I tried to explain this to my mom, she completely lost it. She started yelling about how I always prioritize my dad's family over ours, which isn't even true. I got so frustrated that I ended up calling her some pretty harsh names, which I probably shouldn't have done, but I was just so hurt and angry. Now she's saying I'm grounded and forbidden from going to Canada, which is absolutely ridiculous because I'm almost 18 and this is my father we're talking about. Am I losing my mind here, or is my mom being completely unreasonable? Story 3. I keep my hands up when passing female coworkers and now they think I'm weird. So apparently my coworkers think I'm some kind of weirdo because of this habit I have, and honestly I'm starting to question everything. Let me explain what's been happening at my job. I'm a 19-year-old guy working retail at this small clothing store where pretty much all my coworkers are women. The space behind our counter is super tight, so we're constantly having to squeeze past each other, especially during busy times when we're all trying to help customers. At some point, I started doing this thing where whenever I need to pass closely by someone, I bring my hands up near my chest. Not crossed or anything dramatic, just held there so it's totally obvious that I'm not touching anyone inappropriately. I picked up this habit because I really didn't want to accidentally brush against someone or make anyone uncomfortable. You know how it is these days, people are rightfully concerned about workplace harassment and inappropriate touching. I figured this was just being respectful and showing clear boundaries. Well, apparently my female coworkers have been talking about my behavior, and they think it's really strange and off-putting. One of them finally came up to me and said that the hand thing makes them feel like I think they're going to accuse me of something, or like I see them as some kind of threat. She said it creates this weird tension and makes everyone uncomfortable. I was honestly shocked because I thought I was being considerate. I tried to explain that I was just trying to be respectful and avoid any accidental contact that might make them uncomfortable. But she said that normal people just say excuse me and squeeze by like regular human beings. She told me that my behavior makes it seem like I have some weird hang-up about women or that I'm overthinking normal workplace interactions. Now I'm completely confused about what the right thing to do is. I mean, we hear all the time about how important it is to be mindful of personal boundaries and not make anyone uncomfortable with unwanted touching. I thought I was being proactive and respectful by making it super clear that I wasn't going to accidentally bump into anyone. But apparently that's also wrong and makes people uncomfortable in a different way. The whole thing has made work really awkward now, and I feel like I can't win no matter what I do. Am I really being that weird, or were my intentions at least understandable even if my execution was off? Story 4. I'm secretly rich but my family thinks I'm broke. I've been lying to my entire family about how much money I have, and the guilt is eating me alive, but I also think I might be protecting myself. Here's the whole messy situation. I'm 19 and I grew up dirt poor with my mom, aunt, and grandma. We're talking really struggling here, like, sometimes choosing between groceries and electricity poor. It's always just been us 4 women against the world, and money has been a constant source of stress and arguments in our house. When I started university at 17, I began getting student loans, and that's when the problem started. My aunt immediately started asking me for loans on a regular basis. Even while I was living with my mom, I was paying $400 a month in rent plus helping with things like car insurance. At 18, I had to move out because we were constantly fighting about money, and honestly the whole situation was becoming toxic. Now here's where it gets complicated. I've been incredibly lucky and managed to build up some serious savings. Between smart investments, side hustles, and careful budgeting, I've actually accumulated quite a bit of money. But I've been telling my family that I'm still broke and struggling like I always was. The reason I started lying is because every time my family thinks someone has even a little bit of extra cash, they immediately start expecting that person to solve everyone else's financial problems. When I was getting those student loans, they acted like it was free money that I should be sharing with everyone. They never seemed to understand that loans have to be paid back, or that I needed that money for my actual education and living expenses. Now that I'm doing well, I'm terrified of what would happen if they found out. I know my aunt would immediately start asking for bigger loans that she'd never pay back. My mom would probably expect me to start covering family expenses and bills. And my grandma would likely guilt-trip me about how I'm being selfish for not helping the family that raised me. The thing is, I love my family and I do help out sometimes. I'll occasionally send my mom a little money or pay for groceries when I visit. But I do it on my terms, when I can afford it, and in amounts that won't completely drain my savings. If they knew how much I actually have, I feel like they'd never stop asking, and all the progress I've made would disappear into solving everyone else's problems. But I also feel terrible lying to people I love. When my mom talks about struggling to pay rent, part of me wants to just write her a check and solve the problem. When my aunt complains about not being able to afford something for her kids, I feel guilty knowing I could help but choosing not to. Is it wrong to prioritize my own financial security over helping my family? If you enjoyed these stories, drop a comment telling me which one was your favorite. And if you want more relaxed Reddit readings, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss a video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed these stories, like, comment and subscribe for more relaxed Reddit readings.